Debonair. Okay.
What's good, y'all? Shout out to Notification Gang for hitting the like button. And if it didn't even start yet, y'all the realest ones in it. I appreciate you anyway. Real quick, y'all. Moment of silence for the 5 unfortunate people that lost their life in the submarine. Y'all, y'all know how I like to do these types of videos, man. So real quick, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, man, real sad, real unfortunate. What happened to these 5 people, man? I know. Listen, and I say this all the time, y'all. I get all the tags, I get all the messages that everybody been sending me, man. But I say this all the time. I like to have as much information as possible. Number one, number two, I was busy. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't able to do it when I needed to do it. But that was the main thing, man. Like I wanted to do this video and provide as much information as possible. Unfortunately, the people lost their life. It is what it is. Honestly, y'all, since day one when we first heard about the Titan being lost, I literally said, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to survive this. They're not going to survive this. But let's get into it, y'all. Again, RIP to these 5 people. Paul Henry, what does that say? Nargiolet, Shahazada, Daywood, Solomon, Daywood, Hamish Harding, and Stockton Rush. So let's get into this.
All right, Ocean Gate just releasing a statement. Emily, thank you for that report. We really appreciate it. Here is the full statement from the company. We now believe that our CEO, Stockton Rush, Shazaza Dawood, and his son, Suleiman, Hamish Harding, and P.H. Najile have sadly been lost. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We grieve the loss of life and joy they brought to everyone they knew. This is an extremely sad time for our dedicated employees who are exhausted and grieving deeply over this loss. The entire Ocean Gate family is deeply grateful for the countless men and women from multiple organizations of the international community who expedited wide-ranging resources and have worked so very hard on this mission. We appreciate their commitment to finding these 5 explorers and their days and nights of tireless work in support of our crew and their families. This is a very sad time for the entire explorer community and for each of the family members of those lost at sea. We respectfully ask that the privacy of these families be respected during this most painful time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
So that was the response from Ocean Gate. Let me say this, y'all. And listen, and I understand that this has been like something that's been, talked about for a while, number one, and joked about too. Y'all can make jokes, y'all cannot make jokes, whatever it is, what y'all grown, y'all do what y'all want to do. I will say this though. It's disappointing when you have people, right? 5 people for 5 seats, right? $250,000 each. Do you know what you could have done with that type of money in third world countries? Do you know what that type of money would have done in minority areas in America? Do you know what, like, do you know? I mean, to spend that type of money to see the Titanic, to see what is there to see? What is there to see? Everything that we need to see is already been put in a movie, and it's been put into old ass pictures that you can pull up on Google for free. And then they've been touring the Titanic for years. They've been doing this with damn machines. Why do you need to feel like you got to be so goddamn close to it? That money could have went to almost anything else besides something as stupid as going to see the goddamn Titanic at the bottom of the damn ocean. Well, you know for a fact there's a high probability that you could lose your life in this type of thing. And one of the young men that lost their life was just turned 18, just graduated high school. He's the one I feel sorry for. Everybody else on there, I don't feel for them. I only feel for the little boy. Not boy, I'm sorry, the young man, because he's 18 now. But let's keep going, because I got a lot more to say, but I'm just trying to make sure I, give y'all all the info. So let's go.
Back where the sub is. So I was thinking implosion then, that's Monday morning. I got on the horn again with some other people, tracked down some intel that was probably of a military origin, although it could have been research, because there are hydrophones all over the Atlantic, and got confirmation that there was some kind of loud noise consistent with an implosion event. That seemed to me enough confirmation that I let all of my inner circle of people know that we had lost our comrades. And I encouraged everybody to raise a glass in their honor on Monday. Then I watched over the ensuing days this whole sort of everybody running around with their hair on fire search, knowing full well that it was futile, hoping against hope that I was wrong, but knowing in my bones that I wasn't. And so it certainly wasn't a surprise today. And I just feel terrible for the families that had to go through all these false hopes that kept getting dangled, as it played out. And you have to remember the DNA of this design concept goes back farther. It goes back to the quest to go to the Challenger Deep that I was involved in, obviously. And there was another sub-design that was competing with ours at the time that was based on a wound filament composite cylinder with 2 titanium end caps. And I told those guys point blank, you're going to get killed in that thing. And they ultimately never dove it. I literally told the guy who bought the sub when its owner, Steve Fawcett, the famous billionaire, died in a plane crash, and the sub was then purchased by another guy to operate it. And I told him, you're going to die down there if you dive that thing. And I felt very strongly about it. The second you start doing carbon composite or any kind of composite materials, you're introducing 2 materials that are in contact with each other. The filament itself and then the epoxy matrix that it sits within. And at that point you have degradation failure. So we always understood that this was the wrong material for submersible hulls, because with each pressure cycle you can have progressive damage. So it's quite insidious, because you may have a number of successful dives, which is what happened here, and then have it fail later. If I were diving in a sub that was fully certified, I wouldn't think about it. But even in my own sub, which had a steel hull, I knew that if I dove 2 or 3 times, it was probably good to go, because you can cycle steel hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. But that's not the case with composites. So it's quite insidious, and that, I think, lulled them into a sense of confidence and led to this tragedy.
As someone that is nowhere near a diver, freelance diver, marine biologist, submarine diver, whatever y'all want to call it, I'm nowhere near any of those things. But I will say this, guys. I would never want to be put in. First of all, I know about pressure when it comes to water and when it comes to going too high and on the other crowd. I know about those types of things. But as far as everything he talked about, like the filaments and the different types of metals and stuff like that, and using some sort of like filament, like adhesive and stuff to hold it all together, that's extremely dangerous. Number one, and I agree with him. It might work out, or it might be a good idea for the first 2, 3, 4 damn dives, but after each and every dive, you're going to get more and more damage. And that's what he just said, what ultimately happened here. Literally what he just said, that's ultimately what happened. And it's unfortunate that this man, James Cameron, who's one of the director who dives, submarine dives a lot, number one. Number two, is also the director of the Titanic. He told this man, yo, listen, you're going to die in this thing if you keep diving in this. Don't do it. This damn thing was, this thing was able to maneuver through the water with a goddamn game controller that was connected via Bluetooth. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, well, damn, what happens if there's a power failure? What happens if a current picks up and it's too strong? What happens if the controller dies or malfunctions? What happens if... That's what I was thinking in my head. That's what I was thinking in my head. Speaking of pressure, y'all, I really wanted to cover this video, one of the videos that I found, and well, we kind of okay on time, I guess. Let's cover this, because I don't think a lot of people understand how deep the ocean is. People don't understand how deep the ocean really is. So let's get into this, man.
Really deep. Deeper, in fact, than most of us realize. If you were to shave off all of the land from the tops of every continent and island in the world and fill up the ocean's deepest points with that land, then the entire Earth would be covered in an ocean 2 miles deep. 3/4 of our planet is already covered in water, though, and it goes a lot deeper than just 2 miles. Let's start with a sense of scale. This dot right here is the size of an average human, this slightly larger dot is the size of an elephant, and this is the size of the largest ship ever built, the Knock Nevis. With that in mind, let's start going underwater and see what we find out. The first milestone is at 40 meters below the surface, which is the maximum depth allowed for recreational scuba diving. A little further down at 93 meters is where the wreck of the Lusitania was discovered, which is interesting because the Lusitania itself is 240 meters long, which means that it sank in water shallower than it is long, so if the ship was standing on its stern or bow, it would be sticking out of the water. Just slightly deeper than that, at 100 meters, is where diving can become seriously fatal if you're not careful because of decompression sickness. But that didn't stop a man named Herbert Nitsch to accomplish the free diving world record at
100 meters is considered dangerous for people because of the pressure. Because of the pressure at 100 meters, y'all. And these people dove thousands of meters in a goddamn rejuvenated, refurbished piece of metal. So let's keep going.
Depth of 214 meters. This guy swam down to this level with just one single breath. But a little further down at 332 meters, we have the scuba diving world record, which was accomplished by another man named Ahmed Gabir. If he had swam down another 111 meters, then he would have reached the height of the Empire State Building if it was submerged underwater. And a little further than that, at 500 meters below the surface, we arrive at the maximum dive depth of blue whales, the largest creatures on the planet and also the limit of the US Seawolf class nuclear submarine.
The nuclear submarine, deepest it can go, 500 meters. And they still went more than this. Listen, we're going to keep going.
At 535 meters, we can witness the maximum dive depth of emperor penguins, and this is when we must bring up the intensity of water pressure. At this level below the surface, the water pressure exerted on a person, or the penguins, would be roughly equivalent to a polar bear standing on a quarter. So further down the depths, at 830 meters, would be the height of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the tallest building in the world. Once we hit 1,000 meters below the surface, we begin to enter the scary zone. Light from the surface can no longer reach beyond this point, so the rest of the ocean below is shrouded in permanent darkness. On top of that, the water pressure you would experience at this point would be about the same as if you were standing on the surface of the planet Venus, meaning that you would die very quickly. You would also meet the giant squid at this sea level if the water pressure didn't already kill you. At 1,280 meters, we reach the maximum depth dived to by the leatherback sea turtle, and further down at 1,828 meters, we would reach the deepest part of the Grand Canyon were it to be underwater with us. Down at 2,000 meters, we start to encounter some of the more terrifying sea creatures, like the ominously named black dragonfish, a carnivorous beast with a stomach that doesn't allow light to be emitted through it. Meaning that since we're in total darkness underwater at this point, the only way you would ever see this thing is with a flashlight. A little further down at 2,250 meters, we would reach the maximum depth dived to by both sperm whales and the very frightening colossal squid. Sperm whales often have sucker marks and scars left on their bodies from battles with the colossal squid that likely take place at these incredible depths. The squids themselves can grow to be 14 meters long and weigh up to 750 kilograms with eyes the size of a dinner plate and razor-sharp sickles in the middle of their tentacles. So yeah, good luck with that down there. Way further down at 3,800 meters, we can find the wreck of the RMS Titanic. And a bit past that, at 4,000 meters, we start to enter the abyssal zone of the ocean. Water pressure is at an astonishing 11,000 pounds per square inch down here, and there are numerous strange, almost alien-like creatures that inhabit these depths, such as the fangtooth, anglerfish, and viperfish. Down at 4,267 meters is the average depth of the ocean where you would normally expect to hit the floor, but there are parts of the ocean that go significantly deeper than even this. At 4,791 meters rests the wreckage of the battleship Bismarck sunk during World War II, and way down at 6,000 meters is the beginning of the Hadal Zone, named after the underworld Hades itself. The water pressure down at these depths can become 1,100 times what you would experience way back on top at the surface, which is roughly equal to an elephant balancing on a postage stamp or a single person carrying the weight of 50 Boeing 747 jumbo jets. Down at these depths, you would be crushed immediately without any outside protection, but life still exists down here in various strange forms. At 6,500 meters, we reach the maximum depth that the DSV Alvin can dive to, a popular research submarine that helped to discover the Titanic. Way further down at 8,848 meters below the surface, and we have arrived at the height of Mount Everest, were it to be upside down and placed underwater. And then, way further past even that, at 10,898 meters, we arrive at the depth reached by James Cameron in 2012 during the Deep Sea Challenger mission.
I was the guy that was just being interviewed on the CNN video that I just reacted to, literally just in the same video, about 5-10 minutes prior. This is the guy, 2012. He's a person that reached the deepest 10,800 and some damn near 11,000 meters. Crazy.
The deepest point of the ocean yet reached by humans was back in 1960, though, when two men named Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard reached a depth of 10,916 meters using their Trieste submarine. It took them 5 hours to descend through the ocean to this depth, and they only stayed for 20 minutes before a window cracked and they began to resurface. Just a bit further down from there at 10,972 meters and we reach the average flight altitude of a commercial airliner. So if you've ever looked out of a window while on a flight and looked down to the ground, that's a very good sense of how incredibly deep down into the abyss that we are currently at. Finally, when we hit 10,994 meters, we have hit the bottom of the known ocean called the Challenger Deep, right here on this map just about 300 kilometers southwest of Guam Island. However, it is believed that there are almost certainly even deeper parts of the ocean than this that just haven't been discovered yet. It wasn't until 1997, after all, that the Sirena Deep was discovered with a depth of 10,732 meters, making it the second deepest known point in the ocean. It is estimated that only about 5% of the ocean's floor has been accurately mapped, leaving the other 95% to be currently a mystery. It may be only a matter of time before an even deeper part of our ocean is found, and who knows what we may discover there.
Y'all see my face, right? Y'all see my face. I get it. Y'all want to explore these oceans and seas and all this, that, and the third. I get it. I'm actually all for it, but doing it the right way and doing it with experts that's been doing it for the last 10, 20, 30 damn years. I don't want to deal with nothing experimental, especially when you have people that are considered deep diving professionals, such as a James Cameron, come and tell you, hey, yo, bro, don't do that. You're going to die in that thing. Don't do it. And you don't do it, you're going to be out here looking stupid. You're going to be out here looking stupid. I say all that to say this, man. RIP to those 5 people. It's unfortunate. Again, RIP, just RIP, man. Yeah, man. I want y'all comment down below and let me know what y'all thought about this video, man. Thanks for watching. Until next time, please, man, reciproca.